what landlords should review before filing an extended return. An extension gives you more time to file, but it does not automatically fix bad number, right? And I want to start there because this is one of the biggest misunderstandings I see with rental property tax returns. A lot of landlords file an extension for very normal reasons. Maybe they were waiting for documents, maybe their books were not ready, maybe they had Airbnb income and did not feel confident about the platform reports. Maybe they bought, sold, or refinanced a property during the year and were not sure what documents matter. Or maybe life just got busy, right? April came too fast and they needed more time, right? So that is completely understandable. But here is where the problem starts. After the extension is filed, many landlords stop thinking about the return for months. They think, okay, I got the extension, I have more time. And technically, yes, you do have more time to file. But if something gets cleaned up during the extra time, if nothing gets cleaned up then when the extended deadline gets closed, you might end up rushing with the same unclear record that you have earlier, right? So the return is delayed, but the number were not actually improved. This is the part that I want you to pay attention to, right? An extension does not review your rental income. It does not reconcile your bank deposits, right? It does not separate mortgage principal from mortgage interest. It does not decide whether this big Home Depot charge was a repair, an improvement, or something that needs to be depreciated. It does not fix missing depreciation. It does not clean up QuickBooks. It does not go back and compare your Airbnb deposit to your platform deposit. It only gives you more time to file. So the real question is, what are you doing with this extra time? If you own rental property, right, especially if you have more than one property, or if you have Airbnb or VRBO income, the extension period can actually be very useful. It gives you a second chance to slow down and review the rental story before the return is filed. And I like to use this phrase, the rental story, because your tax return is not just a bunch of numbers. The numbers should tell what actually happened. How much rent did you receive? What expenses were paid? Did you make repairs? Did you improve the property? Did you refinance? Did you buy or sell a property? Did you place furniture, appliances, or improvements into service? Did you have personal use? Did you have tenant reimbursements? Did you have cleaning fees, refunds, or platform fees, right? Those details matter. So if you file an extension, I do not want you to think of it as a delay. I want you to think of it as a review period. The first area I would review is rental income. So before filing, you want to make sure the income number actually makes sense. That means looking at rent received, bank deposits, property management reports, admin report, VRBO report, 1099 case form, did you receive them, and any tenant reimbursement. And this is where I want to be very practical. Not every deposit is automatically rent, right? And not every rental related amount is easy to understand just by looking at the bank statements. For example, maybe you look at your bank account, right, and see deposit from Airbnb. That seems simple enough, right? But the Airbnb report might show gross income, cleaning fees, host fees, refunds, adjustment, tax collected, or other items that do not show up clearly from the deposit alone. So if you only report what hit the bank without understanding the platform summary, your tax return might not tell the full story, meaning not accurate, right? And not because Airbnb cannot report the income to the IRS, right? And then the number that the IRS has and what you reported on the tax return may be mismatching because of this, right? And then what's the issue? You get a letter, right? So maybe a tenant reimburse you for utilities. Maybe a property manager collected rent, deducted fees, and sent you the net amount. Maybe a security deposit was received, but it was not actually rental income yet. Maybe a tenant paid late and the deposit hit the bank in a different month than expected. So these are the kinds of things that you want to look at before filing, not after, right? The second area I would review is the mortgage. Mortgage payments are one of the most common area where rental number get messy, right? A monthly mortgage payment may include several different pieces, right? It may include principal, it may include interest, it might include escrow, right? And the escrow might not be used for property taxes, might be used for property tax or insurance. But the full mortgage payment is not automatically one deductible rental expense. I use mortgage a lot because it's one of the most common issues that we run into. So this is where landlord can accidentally get confused, right? For example, let's say QuickBooks show one full mortgage payment as an expense every month. Then later, when the tax return is prepared, right, the form 1098 is also used to report mortgage interest. So now there may be confusion. Was the full payment already counted? Was the interest counted again? Was property tax included in escrow? Was insurance included somewhere else? A review helps separate the pieces before the return is filed. So before filing an extended rental return, I would gather the Form 1098 or year-end mortgage statement if available, and any escrow statement that show property tax and insurance activities. You do not need to make it complicated. You just want to understand what was principal, what was interest, what was tax, and what was insurance, right? So that brings us to property taxes and insurance. So those amounts can be paid directly or they can be paid through escrow. So the question is not just did I pay property tax? The question is where is it already showed up in my records, right? If you pay the county directly, it may be in your bank statement. If your mortgage company paid it through escrow, it might be on your escrow statement. If your bookkeeper entered it somewhere, it might already be in your bookkeeping. The goal is simple. You do not want to count it twice, and you do not want to miss it entirely neither, right? So the same idea applies to insurance. Some landlords pay insurance directly, some pay it through escrow, right? Some have landlord insurance, umbrella insurance, flood insurance, or short-term rental insurance. So those might not be paid from the same method or system, right? Because some of it you might pay through escrow, the regular like home insurance and stuff, or hurricane insurance. The rest you might pay out of pocket or via Airbnb or I don't know, right? So if you have Airbnb or VRBO, your insurance situation may be a little different than the regular long-term insurance too. So it is worth reviewing before you file, right? So the next big area is repair and improvement. This is one of those areas where you do not want to wait until the night before the extended deadline, because when you are rushing, everything starts to look the same. A small repair is different from a major improvement, right? Fixing something that broke is not always the same as replacing, upgrading, or improving part of the property. For example, fixing a small leak may be very different from replacing the entire roof. Repairing one cabinet door may be very different from remodeling the whole kitchen. Replacing a broken appliance may be different from furnishing an entire Airbnb unit. Painting between tenants may be different from a larger renovation project. And I am not saying this to make it sound scary. I'm saying it because larger expenses deserve a second look. If you file an extension, use that extra time to gather the invoices. Do not just rely on the credit card line that say Home Depot or Lowe's or contractor payment, right? You want to look at what was actually done. Was it a repair? Was it improvement? Was it furniture? Was it appliance? Was it part of getting the property ready to rent? Was it connected to a purchase, sale, or refinance, right? Because those details can affect how the item is reported. Another area to review is depreciation. So now depreciation can sound technical, but for this lesson, I want to keep it very practical, right? If you own a rental property, there is usually a depreciation schedule somewhere in your prior year tax return, right? That schedule might include the building, improvements, appliances, furniture and other items. And depreciation usually carry forward year after year. So if something was missed in a prior year, or if an improvement was not added properly, or if the place in service date was not handled correctly, that issue can continue into the current year. This is why I would not file an extended rental return without looking at the prior year return and the depreciation schedule. You want to know what is already being depreciated. You want to know whether new assets should be added, and you want to know whether anything changed during the year. For example, did you remodel the bathroom? Did you buy new appliances? Did you furnish a short-term rental? Did you convert part of the property to rental use? Did you sell the property? Did you stop renting it, right? So those are all the reasons to slow down and review depreciation before filing. Now let's talk about bookkeeping, right? So some landlords use QuickBooks, some use Excel, some use bank statements, right? And then some rely on property management reports. Some use a little bit of everything, right? So whatever system you use, the extension period is a good time to clean up unclear items, right? You want to look for uncategorized expenses. You want to look for personal and rental transactions that mix together, right? You want to look at transfers that were treated as income, or look at owner contributions that are not clearly labeled. Look for multiple properties combined into one category. Look for repairs and improvements all dumped into one broad account. Look for mortgage payment recorded as one big expense. Look for deposits that do not match rent reports. Again, this is not about making your book perfect in some complicated way. It's about making sure the major rental number makes sense before you file. Because the longer you wait, the easier it is to forget what happened. So in May, you might remember why a contractor would pay. By September, October, you might not, right? So you may remember that one deposit was tenant reimbursement. Later, it might just look like rent, right? You may remember that a big purchase with furniture for Airbnb, but later it might just look like a random credit card charge, right? So this is why the extension periods matter, because it gives you time to review why the year is still close enough to remember. When landlords wait until the extended deadline is almost here, they often end up rushing. And when people rush, they guess. They guess on the category, they skip the platform report, they use incomplete mortgage information, they ignore the depreciation schedule because they cannot find it. They enter expenses based only on bank descriptions. They file because they just want it done. And I understand that feeling, but rushing can create problems. It can lead to missed deduction. It can lead to numbers being reported in the wrong place. It can lead to confusion later if the return needs to be reviewed. And in some cases, it can lead to an amended return because important information was missed. So here is the simple review that I would do before filing an extended rental return. You want to gather your rental income records, gather your bank deposits, gather Airbnb or VRBO platform summaries. If you use those platforms, right? Gather any 1099-K form if applicable, gather Form 1098, gather year-end mortgage statements, property records, insurance records, and then the repair invoices and then improvement invoices, right? Gather closing documents if you bought, sold, or refinanced a property. You want to gather depreciation schedule, right? Get your prior year Schedule E and get your bookkeeping records if you have them. So that may sound like a lot, but you do not have to fix everything in one day. You want to start with the biggest area first, right? Income, mortgage, major expenses, depreciation, because the 4 areas alone can tell you a lot, right?